Welcome back, everyone, to Halloween Haunts 365. I'm Jared.
And I'm Terry.
Today we have a fun episode for you, but right now you have to do one thing.
Like,
No, I don't
subscribe.
care about
Oh,
like. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like the video. But we're on the way to 1,000 subs, not 1,000 likes. So your like, subscribe, all that's there.
okay.
Just subscribe. We're
Just
gonna do it.
subscribe.
We have a fun episode for you today, and also we dropped a new merch store, so check that out on the website, HalloweenHaunts365.com. But now we're gonna switch over to what's gonna be one hell of a good interview, and I'm excited for it. So let's switch over now. And we have Carlos from hera'snightmare. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good. Another fun day working the haunt. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I have paint on my face. I was just painting some ceilings in the haunt, so
Hey, you're good to go.
yeah,
We're all for the haunters. The general
yeah.
public, they don't care about us. All right, so basically, I'm going to start this interview by asking you a couple questions about you, and then we're going to dive into this awesome attraction you have coming to Maryland.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so when did the haunt bug bite you? When did all this craziness start?
It's funny. I don't feel like it's that long ago. I actually started in 2019 was my first home haunt. I actually went to Halloween Horror Nights just for vacation. I had never been to any haunted houses in my life, and I went to Horror Nights for the first thing. So I mean, I went to the Omega, and as soon as I went through their haunts, I was like, I don't know, like if this is a real thing, but I want to join it. So I went home that year. I threw a home haunt in my backyard in like less than a few weeks just for Halloween, and here I am now.
Oh, so it all started at HHN.
Yeah, and they
Wow.
just announced a new house too. I'm obsessed with them now. Like,
So HHN's your go-to?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
like obsessed.
Cool. We'll talk about that later on because I have some
Oh,
gripes with HHN that we could discuss. I
okay.
never find a super fan, so I'm interested to have a little back and forth with it.
Okay.
All right. So you told us your background and how you got started in the haunt attraction industry. So you went from home haunt. What was the next step?
Well, all right. So that first year, I did a home haunt 2019 in my backyard. The neighborhood for some reason like picked it up. I did it for 2 nights, and I had I want to say it was 1,500 in 2 nights,
Wow.
and I was terrified I was going to go to jail for shutting down the streets because it was packed. Like the line. I mean, I went kind of all out. Not with like fancy props. I went to Spirit Halloween. I probably spent like 7,000 in my own pocket. Like I bought plywood. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos to learn how to distress, and bought all this furniture and all like anything I could buy. I was just so obsessed with it. Um, and then that following year, I was like, well, I don't want to go to jail. So I was looking for a little building to kind of do for fun. This has always been for fun. And I met my old partner, Jason Hackney, and he had a little spot. It was about 3,000 square feet. So I partnered up with that year. COVID happened. So I got furloughed for my job, and I didn't know what else to do. So luckily, I was allowed to go inside the haunt, in our building. So I just kind of went there and just kept playing with things, and you know, watching videos on like how to make scenes and all this stuff and lighting. And uh, that year we were allowed to open for 2020. So that was my first, I guess, professional year. That was my second year doing any kind of haunts, and we had a good crowd. And then I was like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Like, so I told him, I was like, I want to do this. I don't know. Like, let's get more spaces. Let's grow. I got really into, I found Haunters Hangout, and I started talking to anyone and everyone. I'm just so fascinated, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. So we evolved into two attractions that following year, 2021. And I became an owner with him. And 2022, we ran another season. 2023, that was last year, right? 23.
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We actually he ended up having a kid. So it became harder for him to be involved in the haunts and stuff. And he had a family and all this stuff. So I I also in 2022 2021 I started freelancing. I got invited to go help at this YouTube video down in North Carolina, and so I've been freelancing ever since. And 2022 I started working for a lot of haunts, and then this like 2023, I worked for more haunts. This year, I'm still working for haunts, doing set designs and all that stuff. But 2023, we sold the old haunt, Hackney Haunts. That's what it was called before. And then this year, I decided to go all out. So I took a third space. So I decided to do 300 attractions all in 1 year, and a horror shop. And yeah, so I guess that's where that was the steps to get me to where I'm at now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. All right, we're staying to you for a couple more minutes. All right,
Okay.
it's raining out. All your building's done, so you're done everything. You have nowhere to be. The popcorn's popping. What movie's going in the VHS player, or for you younger people, the DVD or streaming?
Which movie am I watching?
Yeah,
All right,
which
well,
movie?
you're gonna think it's a horror movie. I'm terrified of horror movies, and I don't watch any of them.
Wow.
I can't watch them. I in 2020, I used to live with a roommate. He used to force me to watch horror movies. And I have a dog, so like at night I would sleep with the lights on, and then go to the bathroom. I'd have to pick him up and walk him to the bathroom with me because I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like I'm petrified. So like I like comedy movies.
Okay.
It's yeah. So I do like my superhero movies. I'm a big comic book nerd. So Dark Knight, Joker's my favorite. I guess that's like the closest to horror that
Okay.
I do. But yeah, so I watch Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings. I'm kind of a dweeb in that aspect.
That's cool. Yeah,
That's so cute.
it's different. Well, I can't ask you the next question because it would be Freddy or Jason, but you don't really watch either one, so.
I know who these characters are. Like I know about them. I'd say Freddy just because he's more of a like a nightmare. So I don't I hate the slasher characters everyone like is obsessed with. Just I feel like it's this guy can't die. He just keeps killing. Freddy, like from what I understand, terrifies you in your nightmares, which I'm petrified. So like I'll never watch his movies, but I know what he does, and I'm like, nope, nope.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can't tell, he's kind of my favorite.
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna watch his movies, but yeah, I get it. I get it.
All right, so diving a little bit more into the haunts, what are your 3 bucket list haunts you haven't reached yet?
Three. All right, Netherworld. I haven't been there. Gone to a lot of the haunts I've obsessed over. Especially I took advantage last year and traveled. I saw I think around 42 haunts last year.
Oh, you're like us. Look at
Wow.
you.
Yeah, I had 1 year free, and I knew that was my only chance. So I was like, I'm going to every haunt I can. I've heard good things about Haunted Hoochie,
Yep.
and I would say 13th Gate out in
You need
yeah
to
that
get the 13th
Oh,
gate.
13th Gate was awesome.
yeah. I might switch out Haunted Hoochie with Dark Hour. I've heard good ones.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess I have to squeeze those 4 if I can.
Yeah, there's like 5 around the country that I finally made it to 13th gate. We crossed Haunted Overload off. The
Mhm.
Dead Schoolhouse is on there for me this year. And
Good one.
there's so many I can't think of right now. Red Vein. I'm gonna get down to Red Vein.
Red Vein. Yeah, the thing is, there's so many haunts I feel like out there, and it's and it sucks. As now as a haunt owner, it's like I can't see any of them, and I'm like, ah, fuck.
Did you jump on any of the pre-convention tours or no?
So my first Trans World, I did like I did Hell's Gate. I did it was Behind the Scenes Massacre, Disturbia. I've done that tour before. But that's the only bus tours I've ever been able to get on.
Yeah, that's tough. It's tough. All right, so your 3 favorite haunts out of the 42 you cleared last year.
Halloween Horror Nights, like that one by far. I love the darkness. I think the darkness is gorgeous. I love the sets. I mean, it might not be scary to people, but and that's not I'm not in it for the scare. Like I like the scenic work, the props. I like just all that. Third, well, I don't want to keep picking theme parks, but I did go to Knott's Scary Farm last
I
year.
heard a ton of good shit about Knott's.
Yeah.
It's there's and they're unique too. And I mean, I thought they were really good. So I mean, I don't know if that counts
That
if I'm allowed to
counts.
like pick a theme park, but yeah.
It counts. Knott's is the oldest one. I think they're hitting 52 years this year or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pure Columbus though is a terrifying haunt. Like it's aggressive.
List.
It's aggressive. It's aggressive. I'm like, oh wow.
We pick a state every year, and we try and get to like 3, 4, 5 when we can.
Hmm.
Last year was New Orleans, so that was New Orleans Nightmare, the Mortuary, and the 13th Gate in Baton Rouge. So this year I'm planning on Ohio, but none of them are scheduled during the week, so it's kind of like, is it worth it? Because
Oh wow.
when we headed to New Orleans, we had 3 open during the week, so we were able to get down there, spend a week on vacation, hit 3 haunts, and make it back here for 3 more haunts.
Really? It's
So
exhausting doing that though.
it is,
It is.
but
It's only 8 weeks.
you get 8 weeks a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just try and do the most we can. All right,
So I have a question. You don't like horror movies.
No.
So do you get scared easy in the haunts?
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. Honestly, like I don't even have to be in the haunt. If you walk around a corner and go, "Hey, I jump like a cat," I
That's
have
like me.
I have to make sure like when I know there's people here helping me every once in a while, which is it's very rare, but I have to make sure I'm like I lock the doors behind me. Otherwise, they know that I jump, so they purposely like torture me at this point now. Yeah,
That's great.
oh, that's so funny.
yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
not fun.
But that fear keeps it alive. You know what I mean? Like it just makes the attractions more fun.
Yeah,
I
true.
really wish I could still jump. I may jump this year when we go to Scream Mountain. They're trying to put me on a ski lift. The
Oh,
ski lifts
really?
have no place in a haunted attraction.
He's afraid of heights.
Deadly afraid of heights.
Same.
I can't
And
do it.
I'm terrified of heights. I'm terrified. I fall off the ladders all the time because I get nervous and I just it's a yeah. I'm a mess. Dude. Yeah, I'm like terrified of everything. I'm terrified. Like I don't do roller coasters.
Me
I
neither.
won't. But the craziest part, I like building big sets because it feels big. But I'm like, I come up with ideas. I'm start building them, and I'm like,
Fuck, now I
like
gotta get up there.
yeah. It's
Oh yeah, yeah. I watched the haunted overload videos and I freaked the fuck out when Eric's
yeah.
on these ladders, on top of tree. Like, what are you doing?
They're so high too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would never do that. That's too high for me. And nope.
yeah. It's crazy. All right, you got any questions about him before we jump into
No.
the Harris? All right, so now we're gonna get into Harris Nightmare, new haunt, Maryland. We're gonna spend a lot of damn time in Maryland. You guys got some stiff competition. We found out this year.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, it's fun. We spent a lot of time in Maryland this year.
Yes,
Really?
we
Okay.
did.
Yeah, we finally found Markoffs, which I don't understand what took me 42 years of life to find Markoffs.
They're great. They're great.
They are.
It's just like I have kids, so I usually have them on the weekends. So getting the haunts is fun. So I work with my ex, my dad, watch the kids. So I took her to my dad's. I'm like, it's only 2 attractions. We'll be done in an hour and home. I was wrong.
Yeah. No, Markov is an experience.
Yeah, we're definitely staying up there next year. And the Jewel was Laurel's House of Horror. I can't say enough about that place and that team.
Yeah.
So
So one thing is I'm really close with all the haunts around here. I think I don't believe in competition. I don't
no.
believe in. I think everyone has such a different show. Like the shows that I produce are way different than Laurel's, and Markov's obviously is like its own entity.
Yeah, they're insane.
Yeah, but the people at Markov's, people that set it up there, they're great guys. Laurel Alejo, he's like the scenic guy and everything. He's very creative of what he.
Alejo, when you coming on? I'm gonna keep busting your balls until you come on. I bothered him at East Coast too. He's like, I don't know. I'm busy. Like, you're not that busy.
I'll force him. I'll tell him.
Okay, so I got you and Dozer forcing him. So we're working on Alejo. I may even make that a live show just to further it. All right, so Hera's Nightmare. What inspired you to create Hera's Nightmare? Was there a particular event or experience that sparked the idea?
Well, one thing about when I create haunted attractions, I'm very story driven. I like a cohesive theme and storyline. and I get really in depth with my stories. It's not that I tell everyone, but like when I'm creating it, I have names for my characters, why a room's happening, which obviously 90% of people don't care, but I for me it helps me create this world. So Hera was just kind of like a name that just when I was trying to think of it, like we were thinking names, I was like and I almost started Hera's Nightmare before I partnered up with Hackney. So I kind of brought it back, and I was like, all right, well, I had this name, but it was kind of like random nightmares. That my idea was kind of off like that Grimm's book thing where it's like multiple stories, and I wanted to do something like that so that way I can change my themes all the time, and it makes sense. So the idea is Hera, she's the goddess of stories, um, and she has a whole backstory of a tough life, like growing up being a slave, and she eventually goes to the wilderness and finds this book that gives her this power, and she becomes a god, and she punishes everyone. But in her story, she tells you stories that are nightmares that in every single attraction, there's a little bit to each story that relates to her past. And now like this year, the attractions are all three different, and no one's gonna really pick up unless I explain it to them. But there's something in each story that relates to her past. But that's kind of how I came up with the name, so that way I can also keep telling stories
Yeah, that's a good
with the
idea.
attractions. Yeah,
You don't have to keep a certain theme every year with when you want to change an attraction. You can do whatever the hell you want.
exactly. And I like creating storylines and themes that aren't like your typical haunts. Every once in a while, like I'll throw in something that kind of is like it has been done, but I twist it. But I try to like think of like what's something that's different. Not a normal, like when you think of a haunted house, like you think of an asylum, you think of a Victorian house, you think of a barn. I try to stay away from that just to create something different.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, so we did that one. That one doesn't make sense now.
No, another one about a horror movie or something.
Yeah. Can you walk us through the creative process behind designing a new attraction or scene for the nightmare for Hera's Nightmare?
I guess like the stories. Well, so I actually have like this giant book of ideas I write down all the time, or sometimes I just see a cool scene. I'm like, how can this be a haunt? Um, I do get a lot of my inspirations from, and it's funny because comedy movies and superhero movies, like I feel like there's a lot of stuff. So like there might be a scene in a superhero movie. I'm like, that would be cool if it was a haunted house. Like, how do I turn that into it? So I guess creating a storyline. I usually figure out what kind of scenes do I want to make first, and then I kind of create the characters, and then create like this the flow and the storyline afterwards. But it's usually what do I feel like making? Like if I want to do a sewer, how do I turn that into a theme, a story? How do I blend it in? Um, I'm still new to the Hulk game. I feel like I guess this is year 5 that I've been involved. Like this I ever started or even knew that the haunts even existed. But I just like creating new things. So so if it's a foam job or something like a cave, like I want like something I haven't done. That's how I kind of create these storylines right now. It's just like, hey, what's a room or an idea or a set design that I haven't done yet. I want to try it.
That's cool. Yeah, and as we learned, it doesn't matter how new you are. We've seen it
Yeah.
pulled off. So I mean,
Yeah.
uh, so he just did he's answered all these questions for us already.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
They're
fine.
fine.
I'll come up with crazy shit. Do you have a favorite scene yet?
A scene
Yeah,
that I've created or for Hera
for
or
Harris.
for Hera. Um, hmm.
It could just be an idea if it's not done.
But it's tough because there's the the queue line that I'm creating this year is a little bit different. And it's the Salem witch trials.
Oh,
Yeah. So and it's a funny
sweet.
story behind this witch trials, which I don't know if you want me to tell you now or hold it off to later. Um, but
It's up to her.
Yeah, you can tell me.
okay, so the Salem witch trials, the story is based on the witch trials. So you start in the 1600s. It's all 1600s. But when you go into the queue, you're in the courtyard, and the idea is, in the queue, and it's all theme. You're being scared throughout this queue line. It's very kind of aggressive. Um, but the witches are chanting a spell to possess the women and turn them into like possession witches to punish the men for starting the witch trials. So the guys in the queue line are like, oh, they're cursing us, but they're not cursing them. They're cursing the women, and now the women are torturing them because, guys, we're all jerks, and we started the witch trials.
Yep.
That is awesome.
I think she
That's
found
a
a
fun.
new favorite haunt already, and that's just the queue line.
I thought it was a fun little twist. It's cool, and yeah. So I mean that queue line right now, and I was just actually working on it. The things I'm doing in there right now, I think are really cool, and if it all comes out the way I would like it to, I think that's gonna be like one of my masterpieces. But also the vampire scene that I'm doing might be my favorite when it's done if I finish it ever.
There's not enough
Yeah.
vampires and haunts anymore. We need to bring
Yeah.
that
There
back.
isn't.
That's got to be. I'm old. I love vampires. I always have. Just from Monster Squad when I was a little kid, he was hardcore. You know what I mean? He was the ultimate bad guy.
So it's funny because monsters are my favorite. I like monster haunts. And it's funny because I like the universal monsters. Like I love Frankenstein, I love Wolfman, I love the Black Lagoon character, I love Dracula. I've never seen any of their movies, but I know who they are, and to me they just look cool, and to me that's Halloween.
Yeah.
So I always have a monster haunt. Like when I create my themes, there's always a haunt that's just monsters because to me that's a haunted house. That's Halloween. It's a make believe world. But
Yeah, growing up, I was either Dracula or Freddy, depending on what
yeah,
year. That's all I ever was. I had little blood down my 2-year-old self. Yeah, that was a mess.
2-year-old self.
So have you been to Salem to get more inspiration, or have you not got there yet?
I haven't been there, but so I do this weird thing where I kind of study up on what I'm doing. So I've sat through countless amounts of like documentaries and podcasts. I've read up on things. There's things in, and I'm not gonna spoil it if you guys make it or whoever else makes it. There's things in the Salem town that if you know about the past, you see it in the attraction.
She'll find it.
I'll
Yeah,
find it.
and I like to study and like make things as realistic and as immersive as possible. So
Yeah,
um,
we were invited up to Haunted Overload, and I saw that Salem was on the way. So I told her we could spend, well, kind of on the way. You know, it was an hour away.
yeah,
So
but
it was over there. So I'm like, we could do 2 days in Salem. This woman, a year ahead, downloaded like 3 podcasts, found every restaurant in Salem. I mean, it's like 2 streets. That's all Salem is, really.
oh really?
And then she found the haunts, the little 3-minute walkthroughs they have. And then
Museums.
the museum, she had the whole thing
The
booked.
witch
I'm like, we're going for
trials.
2 days, and it's really just on the way to Haunted Overload.
We
She's
were
like, we're going to Salem.
moving.
Yeah, we were moving. I was tired. She was killing me.
Hey, that's how you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, she still listens to the podcast.
I do. I'm gonna live there someday.
She's gonna live there someday. No, that's a really cool idea. You don't see a lot of the old school witch trials anymore.
Yeah, and like I said, I thought it was something different, and I've always wanted to do one for some reason.
Well,
So
if you
do
can't
it.
find me, just check inside the haunt. I might be with the witches.
Yeah, where you belong. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in creating Hera's Nightmare?
The business side. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it's not fun. But honestly, I think it's just trying, which to me, which is something that I need to maybe get better at because I do a lot of like detail work and no one sees it. So I struggle with like trying to outdo myself from everything I do. I think it's a big battle I've had like I struggle also with the scares. I focus too much on the sets and creating this immersive world, and I'm like, I forgot we gotta scare them. Where do I put this acting now?
Where do I put the
I,
guy?
yeah, and then I have to sit there and I'm like, oh, I have to redo this whole thing to get a scare because I forgot. Like that's the point of this. Yeah.
That's so
So
funny.
I guess that's probably my biggest one.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm like that with the creative process. Like, I have to sit back and remember. Yes, I do YouTube. Yes, I do a lot of editing, but I gotta remember that 90% of people watch this on a 4-inch screen. So me
Yeah.
trying to go fucking crazy with every stupid little thing, she's like, no one's gonna see it. I'm like, I'm gonna see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's I have some friends that come every once in a while. They just come to hang out and they're like, I'm like nitpicking something. They're like, we would have never noticed that if you didn't say anything, and we're inside with the lights on. I'm like, but I see it.
Right.
It's bad, but
Yeah, I noticed dumb little shits in haunts too. Like I found the washers in Laurel's. It was some like gear backdrop, and they used
uh-huh.
like silver washers, and it just I was like, they should paint those black.
Oh, I nitpick that stuff. I'm like, I don't want anyone to see screws, washers, wires. I'm like, no, you can't see it. I don't want you to.
And then when we had Mandy on after the review, she was like, "Yeah, the second you mentioned the washers, he went back there with spray paint." Oh, that's funny. All right, so how do you expect to handle the operational aspects of running the attraction, from staffing to safety regulations? How are the fire marshals in your part of Maryland?
Um, I mean, and I'm sure they're like this everywhere. They're strict with a lot of things. Luckily, like I said, I've done this before with an old partner in the same spot, so I'm hoping. I mean, they know I know all the regulations, everything I need to follow. I'm ADA compliant. Everything's fire retardant.
There you go.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of work and a lot of extra money, but to do all this stuff. But like, at the end of the day, I want to make sure everyone's safe. I don't want anyone
Oh
to
yeah,
die or
without a
anything.
doubt. Yeah.
I also the way I design my when I do remember to design the scares, I also my scares are, and it's very modeled after Halloween Horror Nights. It's not all trigger based, but I do have a lot of triggers. It's aggressive lighting and sounds, and so I want an actor to feel like they're right in your face, but they're really not. So that way, when you go to swing at them, you don't hurt them. They have time to reset and back away. Uh, so I start my staff um in in the end of July. I'm going to start doing the auditions and everything. But I plan on having a lot of security here, and training classes before then. It's a requirement for me for my actors to come train, also to follow the storyline. But I have like training classes and what to do in certain situations, how to kind of read people. I'm sure every haunt does that,
Oh yeah.
hopefully. Um,
Hopefully.
but I try to do as much as I can to make sure everyone's safe, and I follow everything the fire marshal wants, and everything's secured. So if some guy wants to knock something over, he can, because I make sure it's really secure, glue in it. There's screws holding it, whatever I need to.
Very
So
cool. Very cool. Can you share a success story early on from your time building right now? Anything you're
six.
glad's over?
What do you mean?
Like something you're excited you got done already.
Something I got. I feel like nothing's done. I'm happy the horror shop's done.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's what I have right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that too, because
Yeah.
that's awesome. So, what do you think sets the Hera's Nightmare? Well, I don't know why I put the there. What do you think sets Hera's Nightmare apart from other haunted attractions?
Um, I think my attraction's more themed and storyline and theatrical, kind of. So I think that is what sets me different from everyone else. I mean, I put a lot of money and a lot of time, and like I obsess over it. I think about it at night. I stay up till like 5 o'clock in the morning just thinking about new ideas. Um, I'm sure every haunt cares about their attraction. I'm obsessed. Like I don't hang out with family or friends anymore. I'm just here all day long when I can be. Um, but I think the storylines and the theme and the immersiveness is what like kind of sets me apart. It's not a haunted house. Like it's I wanted to feel like it's almost like a universal ride because it's like holy shit, did I just go to the 1600s? Did I just travel to the vampire world? Did I just go through a laboratory? I want you to feel like you're really in this world, and I try really hard with that. So I think that's what sets me apart.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Now
Not
I'm
saying that
excited.
no other haunt does it, but you know,
No. Every haunt can do their thing. I'm just, everyone has their way. So
yeah,
I like to see what their way is. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, a lot of places are going to have similar scenes, but it's never the same. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's that Reaper's touch. There's the Markov's touch. There's the Laurel's touch. There's the bait. Everyone's got their different feel on it. And
yeah,
that's
exactly. And
why
that's
I love all of them. Like, yeah, we rate haunts, but it's all stupid numbers. Like, everyone's
yeah,
got their own thing. And I love
and that's
seeing it all.
and that's why I tell people I think every haunt is so different that it doesn't matter if you're right next to each other. You have different shows, even if you have the same scenes. You have different shows. You have different actors. You have different the ways you do it. So I think no matter what, every attraction's so different.
And
Even if you have the
people,
same,
yeah, and people love when they're close together because they can hit
yeah,
multiple ones.
and that's I wish there were more attractions near me. I think I'm kind of alone in my area. I'm between 30 to 40 minutes before you see any other attractions. Laurel's about an hour and 10 minutes. I do have Kim's Crypt that's 40 minutes, and I'm
Okay.
very close to Kim. I ask her a lot of questions too. She's so kind.
Yeah, that's good. Good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I love her to death. She's insane.
Oh no, she's a mile a minute.
Yeah.
Like she's
Oh my
everywhere. But
God.
I don't know where she gets her energy from.
Me neither. And every night
Yeah.
she's out there in makeup, running around with her head, and
yeah,
God bless her.
She's
you-
great.
if you want to talk about passion, she's passionate. She's
Yes.
so into it, and it's awesome. I love talking to her and hanging out with her. She's great.
Yeah, I love every video I've watched of Kim, from John over at the Haunted Informer, Len at Fall Ritual. Like, I always watch anything Kim's in because she cracks me up.
Yeah, full of energy, 24/7.
It's insane.
Crazy.
Like, I don't know how people have that. I can barely get out of bed. So, what role does social media play for you promoting your haunted attraction?
I suck at social media, but I right now, I use the Facebook. I use Instagram. I actually my store manager now. She kind of guides me through the social media because I feel I'm not that old, but I feel like I just don't get social media anymore. I'm not on it too much. Like, I get on Facebook to watch videos, like comedy videos. Like that's what So, but I do want to do like TikToks. I want to kind of dive into the storyline with social media. Maybe that might help people understand my storylines and stuff. I don't know how to do it yet, so I'm that's a learning curve.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It takes a while, and growing on that platform is such a pain in the ass. So
Yeah.
don't even look at your numbers. Just put out some cool shit, and it'll find the people. That's really what you got to do.
and that's what I kind of hope. I've been talking to my store manager about like how to do our TikTok, and I'm like, I'd like it to be somewhat professional, but also like telling the story. And she's like, that's not how TikTok works. Like, people put on there, it's 5-second videos. I'm like, I don't know. And she'll send me videos. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. It's like, it sounds like it's just a song and someone's just dancing. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's weird. We've been playing with YouTube Shorts because it's just another way to, get the brand out there. And some really hit. Like, I scared the shit out of Terry the other night with a death whistle. That hit hard. And then I do like a nice editing construction one. I think I did it for Valley of Fear, and it got like nowhere. I'm like, okay.
See, yeah, and that's what I've heard. I just don't understand it. She always tells me, she's like, oh, it's all about the algorithm, all this stuff, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Don't get it. Just why can't it be normal?
I think that's a new store manager role.
Yeah, probably.
Social media manager. Look at you. I'm trying to get my kid to do it, but he doesn't care.
Yeah,
Like, I don't mind making the content. It's just posting. because there's 4 platforms, all kinds of hashtags, all kind of. It's such a nightmare.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. And I have some people that are like, "Hey, you got to put your face in front of the camera." I'm like this. This is awkward for me. I hate being in front of a camera. I feel like I'm weird. I'm like, even even talking to normal guests that come to the attraction or to the store, I'm like, I'm too weird, so I'm just gonna hide in the back and just
I'm gonna go
like,
watch the monitors. You guys got this.
yeah, and that's what I usually do. I try to hide 'cause I'm like, I'm just too weird. I don't know how to
Yeah,
talk to people.
dude, I get it. It took me a while. I'm still not really. I still put her in the camera. You notice she's the one that interviewed you at East Coast.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair right now, but even when I'm not,
even
she's
when
still doing it.
Yeah.
So, how do you go for it?
Do you have a schedule out yet for when you're going to open?
Um, it's not official because I just want to make sure I do my dates right, but I do plan on opening right now September 28th. It's a Saturday. And then I will be doing Fridays and Saturdays, and then I'll be adding Sundays towards the end. I am doing Halloween, which I know is a Thursday, and I'll probably do that Friday and Saturday afterwards. Um, so that is currently what I have in mind.
The goal.
And then, but I also have some off events too. I know that I'm planning out. Like I will have Krampus, I will have Valentine's and halfway next year. So,
Nice.
but and I already have some of the ideas for these themes because when I do a off holiday and everyone thinks I'm a buck wild crazy, but I will change everything as much as I can in the short period of time. Even if like 10 people go through, I don't care. I'm like, if it's Christmas and I'm doing Krampus, it should be Krampus. So if I have to I'll redo all the sounds, all the lights. I'll read. And when I used to do it with Hackney, I used to redo scenes. Like I would redo like a third of the attractions, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "It needs to blend in," you know.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah,
Oh man.
I know usually they just change the lights.
Yeah, lights and music change, and maybe there's
Add some
like
snowflakes.
or
see,
yeah,
I need to go
Shamrocks
all out.
ever. Yeah.
Like I say, to me it should be a story. It should it's a story to me. So previous years for Christmas, I did the Christmas Carol stories, but I did a Twisted Dark way, and I had you visited all three of the ghosts, and then Doctor Jacob Marley Jacob Marley, whatever his name is. And I went off I had that. It was like a theme, and people got it, which I thought was really cool because everyone that came out, they're like, oh, that's Christmas, Christmas whatever the movie. I forgot it now. But
It's Christmas. It's okay.
Yeah.
the Scrooge
The
story.
Scrooge.
Scrooge,
Scrooge
yeah.
story. That's what. Yeah.
I watched the
But
one
it
with
was
Bill
cool.
Murray. That's the only Scrooge I watch. Bill Murray is a hero of mine, so I gotta watch that one.
I don't blame you. He's pretty awesome.
All right, so how do you see the haunted industry evolving in the next few years? What do you see coming?
I see a lot more special effects.
Okay.
I think technology is changing the game. You see it in some of these like Eloise Penthurst, the map projecting.
Yep.
I think stuff like that is what's really like coming up. But no matter what, people always love the old school haunts and old school scares. I think that's not going anywhere. But I see technology just taking over, and I don't mean just animatronics. I think like I said, the map.
I think projection
projection.
mapping, we've only touched the surface. When we can
Mhm.
get some 4K, not animation projection mapping, like someone that actually films a fire, you can actually put a house on fire. You know what I mean? Like completely safe. But you would never know if you have like the crickle in the back. But I think
Big
projection
heat
mapping,
going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think projection mapping can reach that. Right now, it's still a little cartoonish, but
Yeah,
in time, I think it's going to be as clear as we are on the screen.
exactly. I agree. I think that. I think technology. I think that, which I try to do a lot of special effects in my attraction. But yeah, I see it like 5, 10 years from now. Like if you're not using map projecting, like you're behind.
Yeah.
I like this. I was gonna do a little bit this year, but it's a lot to learn that and like to do it right. So that is my phase 2 for my next theme for next year, which I won't talk about
Nope,
yet.
don't do that
Yeah.
yet. Yeah, that and I think old school Halloween's making a comeback, like the
Yeah.
pumpkins, the
Oh yeah,
2 hole press masks from back in the day, and
the vintage look.
yeah, I think that's make. I've seen a lot of that come up recently too.
I also think which I hope it does because I'm into it. I think a lot of fantasy worlds is going to be a big future thing, like monsters and just like these made up worlds that don't make sense. I think haunted houses are going to start getting away from your realistic old house and maybe add like a dark portal that takes you into the underworld. And you know,
All
I know
hell
there's a
could
lot of
break
horror movies
loose.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's a good
So
idea. All right, so tell us about the horror store. That's a kind of unique storefront for a haunt. I'm interested.
yeah.
What do we got?
So how I started because I had the space. I was paying rent at this point, and I was like, all right, well, I knew I wanted to do like a gift shop like haunted houses have, and then I've been through the tribute store at Halloween Horror Nights, and I thought that's cool, and I'm like, I love the atmosphere of a haunted house, so I was like, it'd be cool if you're shopping inside a haunted house. So that's how this idea came up, and I started creating like cool sets for it, just the key that immersiveness, and then I wanted to sell things that you don't typically buy at like Spirit Halloween. So I went on a shopping spree and I tried to find vendors, and then I started me and Brittany, who runs my store, she started finding like a bunch of consignment things. So now we sell like these creepy like insects, and I wanted to sell oddities and weird stuff, you know. And not that I like the weird stuff, but I do like collecting a lot of weird things. I like collecting. I have like, if you came to my house, I have it is Halloween, but I have like shrunken heads everywhere. I have weird stuff like that. I think that stuff's cool, bones and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
me too.
So that's the kind of stuff I have in the store. I mean, there is a lot of like Halloween based tumblers, earrings, perfumes, soaps, candles, but everything in the store is horror based. I'm actually sitting inside the horror shop right now, so you see all the lights going off and everything.
Yeah.
I have the speakers off, but I have loud music that plays. I have pumpkins that tell the most corniest jokes. And I have 2 pumpkins. They talk to each other, and like one of them's like, "Why did the pumpkin want to go to the party to get smashed?" And he just starts laughing. The other one's just like, "Oh, brother, stop it." Uh, I have cool props in here. I have a thunderstorm system that goes off that whole time, and then the music is very like, it's like Goosebumps, 80s, like shockwave kind of music. So it's fun. It's not scary. But yeah, so and the thing is, I also wanted to show people like, hey, like this is what's coming this year. Here's kind of a sneak peek of like how in depth I'm going with things. And this is just a shop. So imagine what the haunt is. I have a giant 10-foot Frankenstein in here.
Huh.
You know, so yeah, so there's a lot of big things. There's cool props, and I thought like that was my idea. I wanted to promote the haunt too.
I like
And
the pictures behind you.
oh yeah, so these are pictures that we sell. We're selling out left and right on different things. So I have new things coming in every 2 weeks, every month. New things I find. I wholesale as much as I can. I also leave it as an open platform for local artists that do horror stuff. Like I have this one lady. She's an older lady. You would not imagine she's into horror at all. And she makes these creepy dolls, like porcelain dolls. She like strips them apart, paints them, and puts them in weird little positions with, sticks or like voodoo looking things. And um, and
Neat.
I'm very about promoting other smaller businesses since I am a small business myself, and just a community thing too. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's great.
That's the store's open now, right?
yeah. Stores open Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Limited hours. Fridays it's 5 to 8. Saturdays, Sundays it's noon to 5. Um, but I tell everyone, come in. You don't need to buy anything. Just take pictures, hang out, listen to the pumpkins tell these terrible jokes.
Hmm.
And then I do plan on changing a few scenes here. Like I want to rotate this, which is crazy. Everyone's like, you don't have time for it. I'm like, it's fun. But I'm doing 2 new scenes in the store. Just to keep changing things.
It's May 21st, right?
Yeah, I know.
I was just messing with you. That's awesome now. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it.
It's also cool to do my paperwork when I have to do like the business side. I come in here like I'm at the desk and I let the music play. I let the thunderstorm go off. I'm like, this is like my home. Like I love this.
That's awesome. That's badass. Yeah, that's really cool artwork behind you.
It is.
And you had to tell her about porcelain dolls, right?
I know. I need one.
They're creepy. I bought one myself because I was like they're cool. When she brought them in and she showed me them, I was like, yes, I'll put them in the store, but I'm buying this one. And I took it was like this weird one on a stick. I don't know. It's at my house now.
So we got 3 house announcements out of HHN. Do you go every year?
Every year, and I usually go for 5 to 6 days, and I go every night. I go Wednesday to like a Monday. This year, I'm only going to go 3 days because I have overdone it with, doing 3 new attractions from the ground up, and like I'm gonna stress myself, but I need to go because I do get a lot of my inspirations from going there. I do the behind the scenes with the lights on, and I just drool over their sets the whole time and go, oh my god.
Yeah, the sets were awesome. I had a good. We went one time, and
One time,
yeah.
Yeah, just once.
See, me, I'm not huge into their original ideas. Like they're cool. Like I wouldn't bash it, but for me, I want to go where they have the license, where I can walk through the movie. That's what I want at HHN. So if the movie lineup's not banging, I'm not worried about spending all that money to go. That's my thing.
it is expensive.
It is. It's crazy. It's worth it because, I mean, Universal during the day is fun as shit. We had a blast.
Yeah.
We went for 2 nights and 1 day, and that last day we were in that park from 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. So that was a day.
Wow. Yeah. That sounds about right. That's usually what I do.
Yeah. And for a fat guy in the Florida heat, that was rough. But yeah, I'll agree. Their set design is hard to beat. The only one I've ever seen match it or even beat it was the 13th Gate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Congo line kind of sucks, but like I said, it's all about. I love set design, so if I ever have a chance to go to HHN, I'm just gonna go because like if they're like, hey, come with us, it's free, come on in, I'm definitely in. But like for me, it's more the IP. I loved because when we went, they had The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
That was outstanding.
I know what it is. I I won't watch it.
But like you walk through a very cold room through the maze, the outdoor the hedge maze, and you see like Frozen Jack. So like that was awesome. So for me, it's got to be a hell of a movie lineup to go back.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, I do. So when the houses are announced and the IPs that are announced, if I haven't seen it, I do watch that horror movie just so I know what I'm going through. I don't ever like it. Like I had to watch the Haunted of Hill House, and that oh my god, I'll never watch it again. And that house scared the crap out of me. But I and I think that's the thing I fell in love with Halloween Horror Nights. It's you're going through a movie.
Yep.
And that's what I fell in love with, and that's what I try to like with my attractions. I want you to feel like you're going through something, like a story, a movie. But I agree. I mean, I don't think their houses are scary. I do get like the jump scares still get me because but I don't go to Halloween Horror Nights for the scares. I go because I think scenically it's amazing. The way they do the special effects, they create these storylines. And to me, I always understand their stories, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like you're telling me a story without saying anything. Yeah. You're walking through, and you walk out like, yeah, that guy was related to that guy because of this, and it's like, how did you know that? I don't know. Like,
did you jump there?
I did jump at HHM. It's very rare for me to go. It's very rare for me to jump, but they fucking got me at HHN. It was Insidious.
Yeah.
And
that comes back this year.
How do you know that?
Well, it's in the speculation map.
Okay.
And I'm one of those guys.
You're one of those guys?
Oh, yeah. I'm like I called 8 of the seven of the houses last year because I'm like studying everything. I'm like, oh look, they did this. This is because of this. I knew Dr. Oddfellow was going to be the main icon last year, but Insidious, I believe it's one of the houses this year.
What else do we have in your belief?
In my belief, everyone's saying a Quiet Place, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
I've never seen it. I don't know what that is. I predicted the the um the Sweet Factory, which they just announced today. I think we're gonna get the women Universal monsters, like so the
Oh,
Bride of
that's pretty
Frankenstein,
cool.
Dracula's wife, and all that. What else was in my idea? If Stranger Things were to come out this season, they would have had Stranger Things. I think we're getting Ghostbusters. I'm pretty positive we're getting Ghostbusters this year.
I think you're definitely getting Ghostbusters because I know they're building a permanent ride for Ghostbusters at Universal.
Yeah, and it's kind of like so like in these all these forums. I'm in every fucking forum for Paradise. Yeah, but like there's pictures of leaked, and it's like it's pointed to Ghost Ride. I think we're getting there's a lot of like originals this year, so it's kind of hard to tell on the originals. Um,
Think Freddy. Nightmare.
See, everyone thought Freddy, and I thought it would have been cool, but I think if anything, we might get that next year. Oh, I'm one of those guys. Like I'm like they're probably doing the next year. I think we're gonna get Black Lagoon next year because it makes
But
sense.
why
Next year's the
next
35th.
year? This year's the 40th for Freddy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Actually, a couple months.
That would have made sense then.
Yeah.
I figured since next year is the 35th year, like go out all out.
Right.
I mean, I assume we'll get Jack back next year, but
We'll see. Man, I was hoping you would tell me it was Nightmare. I'd start saving now. That's what will get me go back. If I could go through
really?
a Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah.
yeah, I think I know we're gonna Bloomhouse house, and everyone thinks it's Five Nights at Freddy, and I don't think it's that. I think they might do a Freddy Nights Scare Zone, but I don't see that.
No.
Maybe next year, 35th new season. There's a new movie, right? Some next year or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Freddy's coming back though. Unfortunately,
They always hate on my boy. All of them. Spirit,
I'm glad he's not coming
HHN.
back. I think he would be a fun house though. Like,
Right. It's dreams.
Boilers. Yeah, like he's also like like in the boiler. Like isn't he was burned or something like
Yeah.
that? Like I think a scene like that, and if they did it, I'm like that would top it. Like that'd be amazing.
That would be badass. All right, there. You got any more questions about Hera's Nightmare other than you sitting in the queue line all night?
No. I can't wait to go.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we carry this out?
Well, so like you guys said, I have 3 different attractions, and
Oh, that's right. I have them on the screen. We have the Curse of Hexen Hollow,
which is all Salem Witch Trials. Yeah.
Yes.
We got Containment X,
Containment
which is
X.
it's a post-apocalyptic world where zombies exist. You go through a laboratory. In the beginning, there's a radio broadcast while you're in the queue line that kind of tells you, hey, like if you're out there, come to the sanctuary. The sanctuary is almost like a zombie outbreak, so it's kind of like a Walking Dead mixed with a Resident Evil feel. And they're trying to cure the zombies and turn them into mutants, and it's very aggressive. And then we got Reign of Darkness, which is kind of off of Game of Thrones. It's really off of Game of Thrones. The idea is you go to the underworld where there are 4 houses fighting for the ultimate throne at the end. Which the houses are, you got the orcs, you got the vampires, you got the witches and the werewolves. And each house, you go through each of their castles. There's a facade that you walk in. They have their own flags, and they have their own thrones too that are customized to those creatures. One thing that would be cool if you go through it, if a character is not at their throne, they're at the end because they won. And every night I will switch it. So if the
That's
vampire is
fucking
not
cool.
at his throne and he's at the end, vice versa.
Oh, quick trivia question. What was the Game of Thrones name? What was the name of the land?
Oh my god.
What was it called? We watched, we binged Game of Thrones recently, like not even a
Oh,
month
really?
ago.
Yeah.
I fell in love after a couple. We tried watching it way long ago and just couldn't hit
I
into it.
couldn't get into it.
And then we rewatched it and we fucking got full in. Like I couldn't put it. We weren't going to bed. Like we just kept watching. And so we watched it and we've heard the word Westeros like 1,000 times during this show. So literally the day after we watched the finale, we're playing a trivia game with friends of ours, and it's like, what show is Westeros from? And she's like, I'm like, fucking really?
Game of Thrones.
Oh, I was gonna kill her that night. That was just like, we watched hours and hours and hours of this.
Oh, really?
I had a brain fart.
Oh, that was so funny.
I mean, it happens.
It does.
But that's a cool idea for a haunt.
Yeah, and I actually I used to play in a band, and one of my best friends, he owns a studio, and he's always done all my voiceovers. So in my attractions, there's a lot of voiceovers, whether it's the characters telling a story or it's a backing track. So we're doing a lot of voiceovers for this attraction because I want all the monsters to sound like, if they're orcs, they sound like orcs, and you hear it in the background. They're just like, it's my throne, you know. I think that attraction might be my favorite. Also, it's monster, so you know, I like the
That's
fairy
so
tale
cool.
world.
Wow. I'm excited.
Me too.
I can't wait. I am so excited. Like, as soon as I saw this pop up, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I gotta find that guy. We're gonna get him on. But thank you so much for showing up and talking to us about this. Very excited to see Haunt.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I'll put a link for everything that you have for Harris in the description. So was there something we hold on for a couple minutes before you hang up? I'm just gonna wrap this up real quick. You got anything else?
No.
Guys, this has been Halloween Haunts 365. If you didn't already subscribe, hit the button down by Terry's face over there somewhere. And we'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.
Bye.